Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back to the Sex, Drugs, and Jesus podcast. Glory, hallelujah, tabernacles, and all kinds of praise up in here, up in motherfucking here. All right, this is part two of my clarity versus chaos series I've been doing here. It's getting hot out there. It's getting hot out there, and I hope y'all are heeding my warnings and paying the fuck attention to them. And this second half here. Also, the last half, I'm going to be talking about my qualifications for my future and upcoming king. Y'all, yes, I have done the hard work. I have served my time. Now I'm reclaiming. Okay. Reclaiming my time, bitch. It's time to come on with the Maxine. Come on. Yeah, this time, it's time for us queens to move fucking further. So in this, I'm gonna be talking to my new king directly, and you know who you are. My qualifications will be listed down there for you, baby. Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about material, some of the sexual trickery and some of the hustlers and the hoes I used to fuck with in the game when I was a drug dealer. Some shit I learned from them. Y'all better learn how to recognize the motherfucking game, bitch. We get your ass caught up. You better learn how to get like Snoop Dogg, SNOOP to go double G. He said, I'm too swift on my toes to get caught up with you hoes. I'm too swift on my toes to get caught up with you motherfuckers. Y'all better learn. You better learn some shit. I'm gonna talk I'm gonna talk to you about how people be like infusing witchcraft and black magic into your fucking food and shit. And girl, all kinds of motherfucking should have a beautiful analogy of like cats versus dogs and humans versus canaries. I think it's fucking interesting. I'm gonna talk to you about these sex covens that people have out there. Be careful about this witchery, y'all. This witchery shit is fucking wild. I'm gonna give you my personal motherfucking opinion. Personal motherfucking opinion on the difference between a truly masculine man and this chaos masculinity that these little boys be out here perpetrating on in these streets with these false crowns, trying to pretending like they kings. They don't know, they don't know shit. It's sad. It's really, really fucking sad. But it's just so much. It's just so much, that needs to be stated, but I've stated it. And I've said what I've said. I don't apologize for anything. I'm not sorry because somebody needs to tell y'all something with some truth in it. It's gonna hit you hard, but that's called true love. Them soft, pedally ass answers and responses y'all get ain't worth shit. We need something that's gonna disturb you enough to fucking put some shit on your brain. Basically, bitch, do better. Everybody needs to do better. Do better, do better, do better. What has been can't keep being that way. Shit needs to fucking change. And so I speak change. Y'all, let's change. Let's come up higher. Let's do better. Let's go beneath the surface and actually find out who the fuck we are and why the fuck we are. And as always, have your motherfucking boundaries. What is one of my favorite lines from John Wick? Without rules, without boundaries, we are no different than the animals. And with that, I give you part two. For those of you who have been living terrible lives and you might think you want to change, I would like to refer you to the book of Nehemiah in the Bible, just the first chapter. Read through that. Nehemiah prays a very, in my opinion, well stated, not that it's about the way things are stated, but very heartfelt prayer of repentance for the nation of Israel and for himself when God was beating their asses, had beat their asses, and allowed Jerusalem to fall. Bitch, if the Lord will allow his very own people in the holy city of Jerusalem to fall over sin and not repenting and acting right, and a lot of it sexual sin, you as an individual will not be exempt. So, and so go to the book of Nehemiah, Nehemiah, Nehemiah chapter 1, and hear how he talks to God, that heartfelt repentance, not bullshitting, really, really getting down into it with the Lord about what you done wrong and what your fathers have done wrong and what your family done wrong and really getting into that shit. That's how you gonna have to talk to God if you have any hope of change. And all right. So the individual sexual stuff, I done been on that for shit over an hour now. Because of all the reasons that I stated, I regret nothing. I want to talk about positive exploration with like a trusted partner versus blind trust with people you don't know. An important thing if people are going to be trying to do like polyamory, and I've done shows with people about this, how you're safer if you have a significant other, if you're going to be out there trying to try polyamory and expanding the relationship versus if you're doing it with someone you don't know. The chaos version of this is blind trust with strangers. The clarity version of this is having a solid relationship with someone who you know got your back and would give their life for you before you go into potentially dangerous situations. But what people will do is go on to sex apps. The two people don't know each other. They'll pretend to be in a couple and then try to get people to come over, or they will have just had met the person and still try to get people to come over to set up group sex. Okay. The difference here is that you could, if you like with a person you trust, they can like really, really watch out for you so that you're not getting taken advantage of while you're in the throes of your sexual passion. People could be robbing you, emptying your pockets out and shit, doing other ways, coming up with other ways to hurt you while you're distracted. If you got a dick in your ass, it's pretty difficult for you to get up and stop somebody from doing anything else. you know, and then you might think you can trust somebody you just met on an app tonight, but a person will say anything if they're going to deceive you. It's because they're pretty. That doesn't mean you should trust them. But like I say, people will use sex to deceive people a lot. Why hold somebody up at gunpoint when you can send them a dick pic instead, or a pussy picture, or flirt with them and seduce them and get close to them and rob them? Sex as a weapon is a serious thing. They used to say it in the 90s all the time. People still do that to this day. Sex is very dangerous. The way people use it, the danger it can bring you in. And if you're in a couple, I'm talking this from the couple's angle now. People could be in a room stealing your credit card numbers and shit. I haven't thought about shit like this since I've been in the game, but this has come back up to me, so I thought I would warn you. And people, while you're getting boned, they could bring other people in the house and shit, have them in the other room. If you call yourself going to spend the night with somebody or let them spend the night at your house, they could get up in the middle of the night and let people in your house and do this. They could get up in the middle of the night and steal shit from you or take your credit card numbers. It has been done. You know, bitch, I've been in the room while it happened, while somebody was having sex, or maybe they got somebody high off or something. They can be disoriented. They went and empty their wallet and shit. So I've seen it happen. So they had a sexual time, but now the fucking money's been taken. so, and so they could come in there and case your home and pay attention to what you have. They'll go over there and sleep with you, but pay attention with what you have, but then they'll send people back in there to rob you, or set you up in in other types of ways. People have this weird ass thing about videoing people too. Tweakers do this shit a lot. I don't know about, I mean, people are petty and dangerous enough for anyone to do it, but meth heads like to do sneaky ass shit. I've hung around with a lot of fucking meth heads, who like to video shit. Not something I've ever been a proponent of. Who the fuck wants to capture evidence? But then most people have not been the drug dealer. I've been the drug dealer, so I know the dangers of evidence. I've stood before way too fucking many judges to want to video or record any damn thing because it always comes back up. And so the people will do it. They will, and a camera can be a button, a pen, it could be any damn thing. You let people in your house, if you sleep or you in the room sucking dick or whatever, bitch, they could be setting cameras up and you should have doing any fucking thing. And people are something. So we got to stop associating positive sexual pleasure and not acting like there can't be danger that comes along with that. If you're in a relationship with somebody who you trust and you want to explore with people, you got somebody to have your back. Somebody bring their ass in there. You're like, first of all, if you're gonna do it, you should enter the world of polyamory where people have rules and standards and things like that. But the problem is y'all don't want rules and boundaries and standards because in the polyamory world, it's about loving the person, at least respecting the person that you're going to do something with, talking to them beforehand and really vetting the situation. Usually that's how that goes. But too many people just want to have sex real quick right now with whomever. When you do that, you open yourself up to danger. As they say in John Wick, rules are the only thing that separate us from the animals. Without boundaries, we're no different than the animals. And an animal can run wild and do whatever the fuck it wants, but it will also get gobbled up real quick by everything else that's out there. So pick your fucking poison, bitch. When you think about it, you've seen spies and shit do this in movies. They'll come in, seduce the person, flirt with them. Maybe they will have sex with them. Maybe they won't. They'll have sex with them, then kill them. Maybe they'll have sex with them, spend the night, then kill them the next morning. People have been a fool for sex for a really long time. And be super, super careful with that. And don't think that people have to have a reason to harm you. If you have anything that they think that they don't have, they're jealous of you and they will try to take it from you. And they will flirt with you and get close to you. And when really they're trying to get that house from you, or they're trying to get that car from you, or they're trying to kill you, or they're trying to get you to fucking just be embarrassed. People are just petty enough to just try to embarrass you. You got a lot of unhappy people in this world. Yeah, a lot of people want to break up relationships. So we're talking about partners and couples. Be careful who you let come over to sleep with you and who you're having. Check that energy. I'm not, if you're going to be doing all that, it's more than just an exchange. Why bring a person to your home that's going to fuck up the energy between you? Be sure you're not getting a fucking witch on your hand or some damn warlock who's going to come in there casting magic against y'all. Be sure that that person actually cares for you as a couple, you know, and that you're not creeping some enemy in there unawares. So the chaos version of this is no boundaries and trying to explore sexually with more than one person or really any person without a partner to have your back. The the clarity version of this is getting to know one person long enough that you know that person would give their life for you. And you really fucking trust that person. And then y'all can slowly see about integrating other people and how that's gonna look. And if y'all are truthful people, then you can enter the polyamory community where people are all about rules and boundaries and telling the truth. That could be an avenue. If you like to tell lies and shit like that, you're not gonna make it far in the polyamorous community because you will have a reputation. As I stated earlier, if you sleep around, you're gonna have a reputation. Period. And if it becomes known that you a janky ass joker, lying ass bitch, you might as well just stop because you're not gonna go very far. And you already know if you're that type of person to just don't even bother. Just take the risk, come along with what you're doing and endanger yourself. And if you die, you die. It's like they say in John Wick, by thy own hand, thy life is forfeit. Okay. So, mm, kind of in vain of the witchiness that I was trying to warn y'all about, people establish like sex covens, sex like witch covens. I don't care how unbelievable this shit sounds. For some of you, this won't be unbelievable at all, but some of y'all are so new to life and your parents that you don't know this and they're not teaching you this shit. Yeah. Besides individual witches and shit like that going around fucking up people, you have these sex covens. It's like groups of people. They have a lot of orgies and shit like that. And really they're casting magic while they're in there doing it for various nefarious purposes. Again, you are emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically vulnerable during sex, whether you think you are or not. That is your most vulnerable time. I have heard say of these covens sacrificing people, and they will sacrifice you physically, literally physically. emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I'm gonna say this. I've been to a lot of cities in this world, a lot of fucking cities in this world. There is no city that I've been in where people tend to go missing like they do down in New Orleans. Do a lot of witchcraft down in New Orleans. I mean, a lot. I'm like, they're getting drunk and I guess for not finding your group or coming back to the hotel. But let's say human sacrifice and shit like this still happens. You can't let yourself be so intoxicated or so drunk or so over sexualized that you ignore this type of shit. People are not what they seem. I talk in my book in the chapter Wisdom and Witchery about how I had to battle witchcraft against that guy when I was in my teenage years. When I went over to his house, he wouldn't let me in that house. And I peeked through the door just enough before he closed it and slammed it. And he had an altar set up in there with candles and shit burning. And look, you go over to these people's houses and for these orgies or whatever sex you're gonna have, you don't know what's in their attics. You live somewhere they have basements or in that one closet in the room. You got a lot of people, especially in the queer community, but everywhere, that like to pray to deities, burn candles against people and shit. And one surefire way to get you into involved in their magic and spellcraft is to sleep with you. And people are so silly over sex because they're so lonely and they're still trying to just numb that pain instead of going and dealing with their childhood wounds, which is the only thing that's going to ever relieve you of that constant craving of emptiness. It's just, it's a lot out there. Study magic, study this. I will be teaching classes in the next couple of months about candle magic and spell work and things like that. So I can teach you some things to shield yourself. But ain't none of that gonna help you if you don't stop and pay attention to who you're hanging out with and who you're letting in your house. You might as well just not attend the class and not fuck with it if you're just gonna be indiscriminate with your associations. You're gonna have to stop sleeping with people quick. You have to give it time. I don't care how unpopular it is. You don't know that person. And you got people that are capable of very witchy things. Besides people stealing your fucking credit card numbers and placing cameras in your home, they could throw black magic in there. Sands, powders, cursed gemstones and shit. Be careful taking jewelry from people and different things like that and clothes from people. That's them putting their authority over you. People show up to you, they want to rub you and shit like this. They probably working some kind of spell against you and they're trying to strengthen that shit and make it rub off on you just by rubbing you. And I imagine if you get naked and roll around in bed and the bed she's casting spells against you. Like, girl, I'm gonna need y'all to wake. I don't ever tell people to wake up. I hate that fucking term. But in this case, and so much is at stake, I'm gonna need y'all to wake up to what's really going on and stop letting sensuality run your life. If somebody out there doesn't think these things I'm saying are true, would you bet everything in your bank account and even your life that you know your sexual partners and your lovers and your little boyfriends and supposed girlfriends and even your family that well? You really know them fucking people that damn well? I mean, really. It's easy when y'all just hanging around having sex and playing video games and watching movies. It's just surface level entertainment. That's not a deep involvement with a person. Although there's still an energy exchange, even with sitting there playing video games and going to the movies or whatever, watching movies, because there's energy is everywhere and it's fluid and you cannot reverse or change spiritual laws or energetic laws. There's always a transaction because you've chosen to hang around that person. The moment you accept somebody into your life as a sexual partner, a friend, business associate, whatever, there's exchanges that happen because you've accepted them, you've accepted whatever they carry to the table, whether you know it or not, and you will be held accountable for better or worse for whatever energy you choose to get entangled with. Even if you don't know what that person has, you will still be held accountable because it's your job to investigate that person and to really talk to them and get an understanding of who and what they are before you let them get close to you. And or them being so quick to just have someone, you know. And so you wouldn't bet all your fucking money you really know that person, but you'll go and run off and do things with them or have them over to do things with because it's convenient and easy. but you wouldn't really sacrifice too much to actually verify the truth. But as they say in John Wick, bitch, what good is friendship when it's convenient? They don't mean shit, so it ain't shit. But y'all like to spend some of y'all like to spend a lot of time doing shit that don't even mean nothing to you. Okay. Miss me with that bullshit. People love to control others and they're rife with insecurities and fear and deep seated unresolved wounds. Happy, healthy, whole people don't go around trying to destroy people like this or playing these games. You have a lot of broken people in this world. And, you know, it is your job to get yourself fucking fixed, of course, but then to be sure you're not letting people close to you who are broken. But if you are broken, probably you're going to attract broken people. Like attracts like. When I met the ex, I was broken. Like I said, I was struggling getting done being homeless. I had not yet opened my massage therapy business. I was getting done with massage therapy school. I had a lot of insecurities from my childhood, unresolved issues. So it made sense that we would be drawn to each other. I grew and evolved. He devolved and stayed the same. And then our paths split. See how that goes? But at first, like attract like. You know, I've been over sexualized in my life. I've been addicted to vice and drugs and things like that. You know, nothing that, you know, I couldn't have helped him through. But if a person's not ready to change, they're not going to change. And so you must move on. And look, these people are not going to walk right up to you and just be like, look, I'm your enemy and I want to rob you blind or embarrass you or drag your name for filth or and through the mug and sell your reputation or kill you or hurt you or do witchcraft on you and steal your soul. They're not going to tell you that. They're going to come up to you looking damn good, like everything you've ever desired, telling you everything you want to hear while they're plotting your demise. Take a cue from Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars, bitch. Friends, buddy with a Jedi for a long ass time and hated them the whole time. People have a real deeply evil people have a very long game. You better get close to God so you can discern it. And then they gonna hit you when you least expect it too. That's just it's gonna hurt. It's gonna fucking hurt bitterly. I think about that ruler from the book of Proverbs. The Lord tells you in the book of Proverbs, if you are a man given the appetite to put a knife to your throat, which means to cut your appetite to control yourself. If you're invited to a dinner with a ruler, he says, do not trust him, though his words are peaceful. He's prepared all his food for you. Because the Lord says that there are 7 abominations in his heart. But 7 abominations, that means somebody who hates you with perfect hatred. 7 is a perfectly squared number, spiritually speaking. There are those who say it's God's perfect number. For someone to have 7 abominations in their heart, that means there's nothing about you they actually like, but they're willing to go through all the motions of pretending to be your friend to get you close enough to them so they can hurt you. Evangelist Nelson did this. Y'all always talk about my Evangelist Nelson as this strong, highly spiritual woman, but she had her mistakes she made too, and she confessed those mistakes. Empathetic people, we can let our emotions blind us. Even though I am clairvoyant, look at all the mistakes I made with the ex. My love for him and my emotions clouded my vision. Evangelist Nelson, the great seer, the great prophetess, the one who had all gifts, you know, of the spirit. Nothing was hid from her. Had to learn an important lesson in her younger years. This friend of hers, frenemy, supposed friend, fucking fake ass enemy, fake ass friend, a total enemy is what this bitch was. Made a meal for Evangelist Nelson, and the spirit, I believe, told her not to eat this woman's food. And she allowed her love for this person, her emotions, to cause her to compromise on what she knew God had told her, and she ate this person's food anyway. Evangelist Nelson had to be rushed to the ICU, uh, into the emergency room, a bitch. Okay. This woman had put something in her food. Yeah. Yeah, she prayed a certain prayer to the Lord on that emergency room table in order to prevent death. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord Jesus. And thank you for sparing that woman's life. And but that's an example. I did the same thing. Like my fortune cookie said, Compromise is good unless you sacrifice your principles. Being nice can go too far. Evangelist Nelson had to learn a hard lesson there. She never made that mistake again. See, it's not about how people present. It's about what's in their heart. It's the intention of everything. People will make meals for you, go sleep with you, set up relationships with you, and hate you. But the Lord told you not to gather with people who don't have good intentions. He said to discard those people and cast them off. That's why I don't have a lot of people around me anymore because people's hearts just ain't fucking right because they haven't sorted out their issues. A little woman who Evangelist Nelson helped to break free her enemies because she had a lot of money, had fed her witchcraft cancer. They put witchcraft in her food. The shit turned into cancer. And and Evangelist Nelson was able to deliver that woman from it, but ooh, it was a sticky situation. You got to be sure. Like I said, you need a partner you can trust with your life. Y'all will sleep with people. You should not. And would you really trust them to cook your damn meals? How often do you go over to sleep with somebody, have them over to your house, and they even bother to offer you a drink of water? I mean, most people even pay you the respect. Even if they were, what's the chance that they ain't put some shit in it? Because remember, a lot of people who out there hoeing don't love themselves. You have a lot of people in fake relationships who don't love themselves. Okay, that might be one of my favorite lines from that funny show, Scary Movie, when they was in the fucking theater and she was in that girl was in that popcorn, and she was like, "She don't love herself. She don't love herself." It's the girl, boy, why you putting yourself out there like that? Girl, what you doing? Come back in the house, bitch. Put some clothes on. So, she don't love herself. Girl, what is you doing? Can you trust the fucking people who you're laying around with, your friends to cook for you? Can you really trust? Because this shit's not gonna hit you overnight. I think whoever tried to do that to Evangelist Nelson was trying to take her out quick. Because they probably knew the spirit would have said something to Evangelist Nelson since she's a prophetess real quick. But some people have a long game. They'll feed you shit over time. Suddenly your dreams are dark. Suddenly you can't think about nothing but certain people. Suddenly you can't fucking sleep anymore. Suddenly your health is starting to decline. I'm warning you right now, people are treacherous and people can go online and order witchcraft supplies to be delivered to their door and you wouldn't even know. Shit comes in indiscriminate boxes. They don't even have to go down to the witch shop anymore. Globally, this shit can be sent. I said it's heavy in the queer community. It's very heavy. It's something about our nature that just probably all the feminine energy, because females can typically be stronger at magic than men. But so maybe it's that, but straight people do it too. I've talked to some very conservative white people. I mean, I'm just stating that as a fact. Just very upstanding, conservative, Republican type fucking people who be talking about spell casting and shit when they're around me. People just be saying things to me that I don't ask them for. And I just sit there and listen and give them whatever counsel and go on about my fucking existence. There'd be people you would not think would do shit like this. Yeah, you got your people who show up with their crystals and everything. You're like, okay, she's witchy, but they're about business suits, conservative frames, just sitting there like ever just so at they house casting spells, bitch. Is not who you think. It is who is obvious, but there's also people you would be like, her, yes, bitch, her. Stop looking at people from the outside. You got to learn how to pick up on what's going on with people on the inside. It's not about how people present. And like I was telling y'all earlier, how I used to be able to walk into bars and clubs and ask about anybody and be told what they've been doing, who they've been dating, what they like sexually. I didn't have to go onto an app. I could just ask. And and I didn't know if this was just me or because people know that I don't have bad intentions or whatever, but I was never told it's none of my business or none of that. They were like, okay, here's the tea. But see, your enemies can find out what you like, be it food, a good business deal, sex, or whatever, and try to give that to you to curry favor with you. And you thinking this person, this is so loving, y'all have got to try to learn better, and it can happen in large cities too. Didn't have to be a small city. Even in large cities, there's just a certain cluster of people who tend to sleep around with people in that same cluster of people. It's very interesting. I've been in large cities like Los Angeles and shit where people are like, damn, it's like the same people all the time. You would think a larger city like LA, but like attracts like. Everything is energy. So even when you're on those apps and these dating, whatever fuck, people are still drawn to kind of like the same sort of energy. I'm not looking at their physicality. People are a spirit and energy before anything else. If those energies are attracting to energies, and not really bodies attracting to bodies. We're going to cover this in that blog we're going to make. But that's why you get these like sections of people within cities and shit like that. And I don't fuck with any of it anymore because I finally see it for what it really is, and it's not worth dying over. It's just not worth it. And I think about the traps that people set for people using sex, like how you ever get like gnats in your fucking garbage can or some shit like that, and these persons are like one or two gnats, and if you don't take the shit out, then it turns into a bunch of them because they're in your house mating and reproducing really quick. Then you go to close that bag up, and they're in there just eating all that food and having sex, and just it's a good old time until it's not. And then you take it and close that hot, steamy, gnat sex orgy bag up, and then you mash them fuckers and you kill them or you throw them in the trash. Okay. And some of y'all like to have some of the trashiest, nastiest, fucking questionable ass sex. I'm just gonna throw that bit of shade out there. But, it's all fun until it's not, and they really come into those gnats have come into a prison of their own making because while they were too busy consuming themselves upon each other and living off of their most basic carnal desires, they didn't understand the trap that was enclosing around them, my precious children. They were blinded by their lust, by their rage, by their anger, by their fear, by whatever it was, they wasn't paying attention to the situation. Otherwise, they would have seen this trap unfolding upon them. And they were entrapped through a prison, ultimately of their own making. As they say in John Wick, by thine own hand, thy life is forfeit. By thine own hand, thy life is forfeit. No one did this to you but you. But hey, you had a lot of sex, right? You dated a lot of people, right? You never wanted to be alone, right? And so for an extended period alone. One night here and there ain't hitting on shit. So, I mean, y'all need to be alone for some months, if not a year or two, before you can get some true perspective and get the devil out of you. Some of y'all, I don't know if I said this already, but I'm gonna say it again. Some of y'all have been tangling up with so many people's negative energy, be it bad friends, bad people you roll around in bed with, the bad people you've had in out of you, that y'all got so much fucking evil inside of you from these people. And like I said, you have spiritual STDs too. That y'all need to go get some Reiki healers, need to go to get some hands laid on you by somebody who knows how to get a prayer through and get the devil snatched up out of you. Literally, some of y'all need the devil, Beelzebub himself, snatched the fuck up out of you before you ever gonna be able to put one foot forward before the other in any kind of cohesive and cognizant way. You have too much spiritual confusion within you. If some of y'all need more than a mental health therapist, you need to go see a spiritual worker to get exercised because y'all done had too many different people's energies mixed into you. And, and I'm just going to leave that there. Let me see. Gosh, there's so many ways I could say this. Just like I said, go back to the book of Proverbs or read it for the first time forever. I will say this for no. One of my favorite ones, the Lord was talking about in the Bible. He said, "Vain is the net spread in the sight of any bird. Vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird." So what the Lord is saying, y'all, is that a fucking canary got better sense than some people to be able to see how dangerous the situation is and not fly into it. But people are like dumber than bird on some on a lot of on most days with the way they go about living their lives, so they'll just go and let themselves get entangled with shit that's clearly dangerous, but because it feels good to their body, or they're so damn lonely or whatever, they just go fucking run off and do it. That is a very interesting parallel to me. Vain is the net spread in the sight of any bird. Chirp, canary, chirp. I think about cats. You ever raise cats? It's quite a pleasurable experience. One of the conditionings that I broke from my childhood was a hatred of cats. I was raised to hate cats. You know, my family hated them. There was a stray cats that used to get in the yard. They never actually destroyed anything. They were just there, and people in my family didn't like them. The cats never did anything to hurt anyone. They did eat my chickens one time. That was an evil ass fucking cat. And but other than that, they they didn't actually do anything, just their very presence was hated, so I grew up hating cats because the people in my family hated cats. Then I learned, you know what? Cats didn't do anything to me. Why do I not like cats? And so that's why I have them now. Beautiful blessing. So glad I decided to do that. You see how I learned how to think for myself? And but first I had to recognize that there was conditioning in place. The first thing about shadow work, stopping being a narcissist, stopping being a hoe, stopping being a sex addict or drug addict is admitting, as they do say in the addiction rooms, that much I'll agree with, is admitting that you have a problem. You have to understand that there is work that needs to be done. I was able to acknowledge this is my family's problem, not mine. I'm not going to have a problem with cats just because they do. But one thing I've learned about cats is their main answer is no. They don't fuck around with no bullshit. They investigate everything through their noses where they touch it. They sniff that shit and investigate every damn thing. Picky as hell, and I love them for that. Unlike a dog, which, you know, most males tend to be, unlike a dog, which they'll put anything in their mouth. You can just throw a dog a fucking treat, they'll just hop up and eat it, don't know what the hell it is, just blind trust, whatever, gobble it on down, and then go fucking run off and die somewhere and someone poison his ass. You ain't gonna get that by a cat. Not hard, not likely. Not likely. They investigate it all. Shit don't smell right. If they senses ain't right, they'll walk up, squint, mm-mm, mm-mm. If they have the slightest inkling of some shit, they bolt the fuck off. And it ain't never nothing in my house. Ain't no danger to them. It's just they just fucking they just skittish like that. And I love it. Shit, they're not paranoid, but if I had to pick, I'd rather a motherfucking I'd rather motherfucking be a cat than a dog on any damn day because cats not only have 9 lives, they really make the most of the first one they have, and it is not gonna end lightly. Mhm. Another chaos versus chaos versus clarity is like being, say, like with a cheater versus not. You know, clearly the chaos is being with a cheater and not being with the chaos is the clarity that you want. I want you to compare as having the stress of trying to deal with a cheater and dishonest person versus not. I want you to be careful about not letting yourself get gaslit by things that they will do. Some people call this love bombing and shit. I call it a distraction. So just like how I told you earlier with the ex, like the day I went to go give him the Paxlovid medicine, a couple of hours later, he went to go have sex with the dude for an hour and didn't tell me and intentionally give the dude COVID. What he did was he went to go and cheat during a time where he thought I would least expect it. Because he knew that I would ration in my head, okay, he has COVID. I just gave him this medicine. He's supposedly in his home recovering. He made sure to text me like, hi, after he texted this other person to set up the sex. Then he bothered to text me, and just he made me feel comfortable and just told me he was just resting well or whatever the fuck he said, having a good night. He's going to play some video games. And then he went to go bone. Still turned his phone off, I guess just in case I would check or to be fully present with his hoe. You know, so they will do this shit while your guard is down. To they might take you out on Valentine's Day, wine and dine you, and then go cheat on you the next day while you're still riding that emotional high. Or if they don't even have COVID and you think that they're in there at their house sleep, they could be in there running hoes all damn day or having an orgy. You don't know. You have got to pay attention to your senses. Okay, because even at night when he was up there, I was texting him. I sensed some shit was off. Those texts turned green. I knew some shit was fucking off. And I told myself, nah, there's no way he is somewhere cheating while he has COVID. Not nobody would fucking do that. And I told myself, maybe it's just a glitch in the phones. Had the Lord not showed me those texts, it would have been August 2023, and that ex never would have told me the truth. That would have been one of his many little secrets he was just been snickering to his little childish self about. So I'm just telling y'all, you don't want to be with a cheater. It's not worth it. I guess you just don't. Imagine having somebody who tells you the truth. This is clarity. Somebody who is transparent, having a true king by your side, somebody who comes home when they say they're going to come home. Imagine the peace that would bring you. Somebody who never causes you to doubt. I've heard of women having to give men lie detector tests. They lie so damn much. Girl, it's time to go. It's time to go. Nobody should have to live that way. And I warned y'all that stress can turn into physical ailments within you. I've seen it happen. It's unfortunate as fuck, but I've seen it. It don't take a lot of time. Back in the days when I didn't love myself and I was willing to have sex with a married man, they would stop. When I lived in Houston to sleep with me on the way home, he'd only go over there like maybe 15 to 30 minutes, probably tell the wife, it's just stopped at a grocery store. It was traffic in a large city like Houston. It's easy to say, oh, it was traffic or whatever. I mean, they didn't care. I mean, people that will do anything and use another circumstance to try to veil what they're doing. While out of town on business trips, I used to meet up with them guys. Used to meet up with them guys and in hotels and shit. The wife thinking he's out on business trip, and he is. All he told her was, "Yeah, work was good. I'm gonna go to the room and relax," and failed to mention that some dude's coming up there to do sexual things. Yeah, that's the way these boys are. I would never accord the title of man to a man unless he earns it. Any male who's willing to do this sort of shady shit and then not own up to it, especially, is no man. And it's like they convince themselves that this shit's justified. It's not. Only God can judge, and this judgment they've read up on themselves that this low down sexual shit that they've done is righteous is wrong. They need to tell the truth and stop lying, just like I did. At some point, I was like, you know what? I need to stop being a thought and being a hoe and respect people, marriages. And if these dudes are not telling their wives where they're at or what they're doing, if the shit's not open, then he needs to fucking go and leave. And I'm not going to be a part of that anymore. And so that's another reason why I was very adamant about being very forgiving with the ex, because I was like, you know what? I didn't done my thoughty ass, hoe ass shit too back in the day. So who am I to bitch for too long about what you've done? It's still wrong and fucked up. But, and that's why I also know karma is real. It always comes back around, bitch, because it came to me too. So none of us are exempt. None of us are exempt. And so when it came to me, I wrote my writings, I did my shows, I let it go, I used it to heal people, and I moved the fuck on. Didn't sit around playing a victim or scratching my fucking bald ass head trying to figure out why is this happening? Okay. In part, at least, because I did the shit too. I'm thankful that my karma was flushed all the way fucking through and clear through the X, and he can take that evil ass shit and go run off with it. I want no parts of it. That's my other favorite line from that movie, Scary Movie, when that girl is running from that skeleton that Cindy had released. And she's like, girl, why you bring that evil shit over here? That's how karma is. When that bad karma starts falling around people, you better get the fuck away from them. You don't want to get caught up in their shit. Like, take that evil fucking karma and all your hoes, and y'all go have a hoish ass karmic negative karmic time together. Do whatever the hell y'all want to do. Leave me the fuck out of it. As they say, my name ain't Bennett and I ain't in it. I don't give a damn. Fuck. Nobody from my past is doing. Because in none of my dreams with the ex did I ever see him in light. He was never surrounded in light. He was always surrounded in darkness. He was always had boys around him, and all the boys he had around him were all evil as fuck. Physically attractive, but evil as hell on the inside. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. And I've only talked about in detail those 2 dreams, but since that came up, and that's why I'm saying leave people alone with bad karma. Don't care what kind of life they're pretending to have, the shit ain't good. I never saw him surrounded with light. I never saw him alone praying, nothing in my dreams. Always with a dude, and always, or at least one. Damn. And then always surrounded in darkness. And I said, Satan, the Lord rebuke you. Get the fuck out. You and all your evil ass hoes. Not today, Satan. Not today and not tomorrow either. Mm. Fuck all that. Like I said, ain't no dick worth dying over. This shit is evil. Stop negotiating with cheaters. Get yourself a man who's gonna tell you the truth. And people with positive sexual energy, use that shit to heal people. Use it. Or people with high sexual energy, stop using it for negativity and turn it positive. Imagine the chaos of just being an indiscriminate slut or using fake relationships to prop up you for validation. I understand people will go from being just whores, needing validation, to getting them like 1 or 2 boyfriends or girlfriends, and then using them for extended fake validation. Because just like the males I used to sleep with would rationalize that cheating on their wives with me was justified because they're paying the bills and buying the house, which is not. People who are narcissists will do this. Okay, well, I'm not going to be a slut anymore, sleeping around. I'm just going to get me 1 or 2 boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever, and I'm just gonna have sex with them all the time. But the intention is still the same. They don't love themselves, and they want to they just want to use the sexual energy from somebody else to make themselves feel better. Okay, if you're not going into sex with the idea of I love this person and we're gonna connect mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and I'm gonna tell them the truth, and it's all coming from a good space, then you're using it wrong. And you got people who would tell themselves that they're somehow living right because they're not just total sluts anymore. But it's just like they just have 2 extended grinder hookups happening. It's not real. And like I said, you can take and put boyfriend or girlfriend on any fucking inanimate object laying around and play house, bitch, but the Lord has not blessed that union because the Lord created relationships, not people, just like he created sex. So it's not valid really unless the Lord says so. And if your intentions ain't right, I'm not talking about going down and getting married, because really you're married energetically before you ever go sign papers. And if people just sitting there playing, and I guess some people just like to play around. Maybe people know they're being played with and don't mind being played with. I don't know. But I'm just telling y'all, instead of doing all that bullshit, take all of that sexual energy and use it to teach classes to help to strengthen people. Somebody's been raped, hurt, they have a sexual wound. If somebody who understands themselves thoroughly and understands their divine masculine energy and particularly their divine masculine energy, although divine feminine as well, but particularly divine masculine, they could alchemize that shit and use that and craft coursework in different things and strategies and sayings that they could use to speak upon people to help them heal sexual wounds of various sorts, whatever kind of abuse they've experienced, because that high sexual energy can be used in that way if you study how to do it. Um, I study the zodiacs loosely. Scorpios usually have very high fucking sex drives because their reproductive organs is where their energy seems to gather. Like in Sagittarius, a lot of us have this in our thighs and legs and things like that. You know, I have, Scorpio in my charts, so I have a very high sex drive. So I know what I'm talking about. You could, instead of using this shit for lust, that's chaos. You could use it for positive reinforcement of the community around you. You have 2 choices before you stop. Why use it for lust all the time? Why must you do that? Change your ways. Do better. Do better. Do better. And I might do a show on zodiacs later. I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided yet. Those of you who need to do better, consider the difference living a life with boundaries versus not having any. Chaos is not having boundaries. Clarity is having boundaries. As they say in John Wick, like I stated already, without boundaries, without rules, we're no different than the animals, which means you are totally exposed to every threat. And boundaries are not entrapment. There are people who think being in a relationship is suffocating. That's because in your head you feel like it is because you're a slave to options. But it doesn't have to be. Everything is perspective. Boundaries are a great thing to have. So check your perspective on that. Being close to God versus not being close to God. I have to tell you one thing, without a spiritual understanding, you are grotesquely out of balance. And you're not really as evolved and advanced as you think you are, because your spirit is an important part of you. If you starve it, you will fall out of balance. And you're just not gonna be approaching things with as clear a mind as you think you are, with clear potentials as you think you are, because you're not. I'm gonna tell you, not being close to God, your enemy is gonna be able to run all the fuck over you. Okay? When you really wrapped up in Christ and you about your life's purpose, your enemies can try to overthrow you, throw you down, cast their spells, do whatever. It will go nowhere. It's gonna get backfired against their stupid asses for playing with the devil. But other than that, that's about it. Because God's not gonna let his children be hurt. But we down here about our father's business and God controls everything. Can't no enemies hurt you. But if you don't fuck with God, then God not fucking with you, which means your enemies can fuck over you. Okay. Thinking positive versus not thinking positive. I've stated this 1,000 times, 1,000 different ways. Whatever you think, whatever you speak is going to create your universe. You don't even have to say it. Sitting there stewing in negative thoughts still whips up negative energy around you that pulls in the very problems you then use your mouth to complain about. Chaos is thinking negative. Your clarity is when you learn how to finally think positive. Eating healthy versus not eating healthy. What you put into your body creates the way you're able to go out and interact with the world. Fast food is bullshit. Going out to eat all the time, also bullshit. If you see that box in the kitchen with the fire coming out of it, bitch, that's what we call a stove since the days of Fred Flintstone. Okay? Learn how to use that motherfucker. Okay, and cook you a damn home cooked meal. Okay? There is something that feels different. And any of you should be able to attest to this if you had a fucking home cooked meal before. Unfortunately, I know some people who have not. It settles in your stomach a different damn way when somebody's cooked something for you in a pot over a stove. 'Cause, that shit was made for you. It had love poured into it rather than this conglomerate shit at a restaurant. And I've stated in another episode about how the service industry is so petty, and you have a lot of just warring negative energies swirling around in the kitchen in the back. Because I've been in the service industry before, and all of that shit is just, you just don't want people cooking your food with that type of intention. And that's why when you go out to eat, even if it's a scratch kitchen where they make the shit to order, that shit just it don't settle your stomach the same as having a good home cooked meal made. It just doesn't. You rest better, you feel better. Everything it's like a warm hug when you have a home cooked fucking meal, bitch. Learn how to do that. It's like your health will just improve. Being settled and at peace versus not being settled and at peace. I think about Dormammu, when I think about this from Doctor Strange, that demon that likes to go around consuming planets and shit. He's just like people who always have to be active, always consuming something or someone, never still going to this activity and they got to do this. And they think life is a constant string of activities and keeping their day filled with busyness. These things, children, are not to be so. That damn demon would be glorified in this world because he's big, he's powerful, he's able to consume and devour whatever and whoever he wants. But the thing that thing is cursed with is no peace. He's always roaming. His appetite is never full, no matter how much he devours. This is not the gift of God. What the Lord will do is if you insist upon being a slave to your vices or serving the God of your belly, as it's called, it says he will give you up to a reprobate mind to be a slave to your lust, and then you will never get enough. You used to only be somewhat of a hoe. If you don't stop and turn to God, he'll make you an even bigger hoe than what you was before. He'll just let you completely go. And whereas you had a few boundaries, now you're gonna have none at all. Because you never would turn around and get right with him. Into the world, you'll be glorified. They'll be like, damn, look at all the ass he can smash, look at all the bottoms he can get, look at all the people he can date. Look at all you'll fool yourself too and be like, wow, I've got me shit, not one but two boyfriends. I'm working this polyamory thing. But you don't have is peace. You're not settled. You know, you're not you're not still roaming the streets like that, having a revolving door, always doing something is not peace. That is not quality of life. Isaiah, the book of Isaiah said it twice. In two different chapters, there is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked. There is no peace unto the wicked. All that busyness is a fucking curse. You know, if you had true joy, you'd be able to set your ass down and be still. But because of the choices that you made, no matter what you have, it's never fucking enough. And that's not good. There's people who are happy with less. They can have a little bitty plate of food and a toothpick and a piece of fruit and be happy. You got people with a whole feast in front of them that will find something wrong with it. And no matter how much they eat, they're not full. Then the Lord can make it so that you eat and never be full. He can make it so that you have sex and take pleasure out of it and make it so that you never want the person you're with. And so you better be careful with playing with God like that because joy comes from him. And to have a significant other that's true to you is a gift from God. This is in the word. Trying to go about it the ways that some of y'all have done it has cursed your life. And y'all need to really go back and get things settled with God while you're alive and have a chance to do it. And I think about being still and evolving. When I was in New York, I was at LaGuardia trying to get back to Baton Rouge, and it was that day where you had supposedly storms that shut down all the planes and shit. I think they full of shit or whatever. And JetBlue was like, "We can't get you home for 5 days," and I was like, "Bitch, fuck you." But in my head, I was like, "Well, fuck, I'll just stay in New York through the 4th of July, then and twirl." Like I said, I'm single now. Then ain't got no reason to come running back to Baton Rouge. And but I watched in the airport as we sat there on the floor, stretched out, marinating, who got upset and who fucking didn't. I was chill. This was a sign and a real marker to me at how much I had grown. Not that I would have acted a fool before, but I just am seeing things differently now. And I was just like, well, it's clearly not meant for me to get on this plane. And what if it would crash? And I tried to tell people this in the airport to try to settle them down because then people was in there cutting up. It wasn't just JetBlue, it was Southwest. Everybody was having fucking cancellation. And I was like, well, there's no sense in getting upset because that's not going to change anything. Either they can do something or they can't, or they don't want to, but hollering at them. And I mean, they was running around. I was noticing people with very heavy negative energy trying to come up to me with their complaints. You ever had somebody doing that? You can call it venting or whatever. All that is just someone spewing fucking negative fucking energy. That's all the fucking shit is. And you want to go, this is bullshit. Rah, 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 rah. And I just held my peace and would not say anything and not feed into it. I don't have to actually respond to people who want to come to me with anything. It's my choice if I want to open my mouth or engage with them. So, people, you must learn this and hold your peace and be settled. If this whole world decides to go crazy, bitch, are you going to be the one going crazy with it? Or do you know yourself well enough? Or are you settled and strong enough spiritually and high enough in your God so that you can have peace even when everyone else does not? Okay. Are you gonna even, are you gonna be the one to shine bright when everyone else lets darkness consume them? Will you be the exception to the rule, or will you go along with the herd? You know, and on that day and that night in that airport, when it became clear that I was not leaving New York, so be it then, bitch. Let's get a hotel and let's fucking. I mean, that there's no sense in fighting. It's done. This was done. Is done. I couldn't control that. I could control me. See, I'm always accountable for everything I think, say, and do, and where I choose to invest energy. Everybody else is accountable the same. So, and I knew then that I had fucking evolved and grew. And like I said, I was never the type to go. cuss a bitch out like that, but there's times past I would have let myself get worked up on the inside. Not this time. I just acted like the little bald-headed monk that I am. It was just like zen about the shit. But I can't change that, so I might as well keep my peace. If you are going to get into the whole polyamory open relationship thing, it still has to come from a place of abundance and love versus this energy of vampirism and lust. The only thing worse than one lustful vampire ass person is two of them working together, which is something you really would rarely see because usually those sort of people would oppose each other and work against each other. But, villains will run together for a little while before they eventually turn on each other. But if you're going to go about the business of being in an open relationship or polyamorous, be sure it's because you have a lot of love to give and you want to explore this with a partner you're deeply in love with, who you trust your life with, and that the two of you are not getting off into energy vampirism. Again, you got to check your intentions. The people you meet up with, it has to be because you want a positive exchange. You respect these people and concerned about their well-being and not just someone who'll do for the night and you don't give a fuck about what happens to them tomorrow. These things showed not to be so. I'm going to read an excerpt from the book of Revelation, chapter 18. And it says, Then I heard, and it's starting at the fourth verse, then I heard another voice calling from heaven, Come away from her, my people. Do not take part in her sins, or you will be punished with her. For her for her sins are piled as high as heaven, and God is ready to judge her for her crimes. And due to her, as she has done to you, and more. Give double penalty for all her evil deeds. She brewed many a cup of woe for others. Give twice as much to her. She has lived in luxury and pleasure. Match it now with torments and with sorrows. She boasts, I am queen upon my throne. I am no helpless widow. I will not experience sorrow. Therefore, the sorrows of death and mourning and famine shall overtake her in a single day, and she shall be utterly consumed by fire, for mighty is the Lord who judges her. This is talking about the great whore Babylon I referenced this earlier. Continuing, and the world leaders who took part in her immoral acts and enjoyed her favors will mourn for her as they see the smoke rising from her charred remains. They will stand far off, trembling with fear and crying out, Alas, Babylon, that mighty city, in one moment her judgment fell. The merchants of the earth will weep and mourn for her, for there is no one left to buy their goods. She was their biggest customer for gold and silver, precious stones, pearls, fine linens, purple silks, and scarlet, and every kind of perfumed wood and ivory goods, and most expensive wooden carvings and brass and iron and marble and spices and perfumes and incense, ointment and frankincense, wine, olive oil and fine flour, wheat, cattle, sheep, horses, chariots and slaves, and even the souls of men. All the fancy things you love so much are gone, they cry. The dainty luxuries and splendor that you prize so much will never be yours again. They are gone forever. The part about this that catches my eye the most is when they switch over to the chariots and slaves and even the souls of men, bitch. That's a warning right there against businesses like all these social media companies who have sacrificed eh, people like lose their selves in the product that they're selling. And if they don't work to mitigate that shit, God is concerned about mixing commerce with people getting hurt in the process. But in terms of relationships, and shit like that, the souls of men, that is just straight up devouring the energy and life out of people. It's just like an act of practice. So these little energy vampires and these little witches who like to go around sucking the life out of people and shit. Baby, God is watching you. He's not pleased that the souls of men and the way you treat people is the most important thing of all. But some people categorize the souls of people just like something they would get off the shelf from a store. It doesn't matter to them. They don't accord true value to humans like they should. I guess they call it meaningless sex, just a physical transaction. No, bitch, don't do this. Don't do this, y'all. Stop. And this woman who was represents, lust and everything, had it all until she didn't. Like I've told y'all before, trouble might look like it's far away and like it's never gonna happen, and you're invincible. And bitch, when God decides to smack you down, none gonna be able to deliver you out of your hand. For strong is the Lord who judges you. Strong is the Lord who judges you. But you had a chance to repent, and you wouldn't. By thine own hand, thy life is forfeit. I mean, let's talk about masculinity. True masculinity versus chaos masculinity. This is a huge pet peeve of mine for all the reasons you know. You want to strive to have true, clear masculinity, not chaos masculinity. Chaos masculinity, fuck, Jesus Christ. True masculinity is a man who can take responsibility for his actions. He don't mind apologizing. He's in touch with his feminine side. He knows how to use that for his strength and doesn't consider it to be a weakness. A real man with real masculinity is married to the truth. He understands that sex is not a job, but it's a spiritual collaboration between people. Males put way too much pressure on themselves to do a certain good job during sex, which ultimately reflects back on their frail ego and need to perform. Society's done this to them. It's really all fucked. Honestly, if sex didn't go well between however many people, it's everyone's there. So everyone would bear that responsibility and just accept the fact that, well, it just wasn't our day. It didn't have to be a whole big thing. It didn't have to be anyone's fault, quote unquote. Just let the shit go. Just let it fucking go for whatever reason. But technically speaking, sex shouldn't be going wrong beforehand if you take the time to get to know the person and care about them and communicate desires and communicate beforehand and through it and then do your self-care after. If you go about it strategically and prayerfully and consciously and with good intentions, it's, in my opinion, literally impossible to have bad sex because it's all about the connection with the person more than the physicality of it. So I don't understand how it can be bad. Like by what standards? But some of them boys go into the bedroom real worried about how their performance is going to be and all of this, bringing unnecessary stress into that didn't have to be. That is chaos masculinity. Okay. Boys, y'all got to go back and fix them childhood wounds. You got to get confident. You got to get secure. Stop trying to put band-aids on broken arms. Okay, and try to feel okay, and try to feel this hole with you with sex and with all of this shit. With these little bitty, I don't know what the fuck you out there doing. Just stop because it's not working. Okay. Some some of these some chaotically masculine males like tend to lean towards like super rough sex. Okay. I'm gonna tell you this. That's a form of intimacy avoidance. That's slowing down, and it's also a form of escapism. Somebody who's like a sex addict or somebody who's using it just to patch over their hole in their heart or to just to feel their validation, they're not gonna wanna slow down with you because if you slow down, then that's like getting too intimate for them. They don't wanna make love. They only want to have rough sex. This is wrong. This is intimacy avoidance is what they're doing. I don't wanna be used like that. The energy and the intention there just ain't right. You got guys who only wanna do doggy style. You got girls like this too, who also want to avoid intimacy. But right now I'm talking about masculinity, because they only wanna do doggy style because they wanna avoid eye contact because that is also intimacy. I guess if you have 2 people on the same page, but that's also 2 people who are chaotically masculine if you're talking about 2 dudes. I'm not about that shit. Grow up. Learn how to bring all fucking parts of sex into it, otherwise don't bother doing it, because you're only hurting yourself. I don't know, maybe some of them use rough sex to try to prove like they're more of a man or whatever, but sex is not supposed to be about proving anything. It's just about to be about the supposed to be about the spiritual energetic exchange between the people who are doing it. Not about one person trying to prove anything. As you're really in a loving relationship with somebody, you've already proved all of that. And then the sex between you is supposed to strengthen your bond in order to strengthen all the other areas of your life, is but one part of a relationship. It's not supposed to be on this huge fucking pedestal. There's a thousand different things that cause a relationship to work. Sex is one part. But if you use it right, you can infuse, you can take the, you can use that to connect energetically to create like an electric spark that can supercharge every other aspect of y'all's relationship if you do it right. But just to go in there and do it to have a, for the dude to feel like he's done a good job is bullshit. And so, ladies, I suggest you stop fooling around with people like that because that's not good. The intention and the spirit there ain't right. It's shallow whenever the boys try to avoid intimacy and just do it rough and do it and just do it in ways that don't slow down. And trying to get some dudes to slow down is hard. All they are trained to is fast, 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 fast. And where they get this from is probably porn. Like, how many pornos do you watch where people slow down and actually make love, especially gay porn? Where do they actually like slow down and really be there for each other and nurture each other and really fucking make love to one another? A lot of dudes out there ain't never seen this before. Wouldn't know a thing about it. Okay, that's chaos fucking masculinity. Like, how in the hell some people be like, they'll stick a dick in anything without a condom on, but then they won't kiss because that's too much. They'll be like, kissing is too intimate. And I'm like, I think this dick in my ass is more intimate than your lips on my lips. Personally speaking, I think people might mix that up in their minds to excuse their lust somehow, but I've said this in other episodes, but dividing parts of you up to have shallow experiences is the reason why many of y'all are broken and stay broken. It's like your dick is over here, but your heart is over here, and your mind is over here, and then really your heart's completely shut off. Just so you can feed your insecurities by stealing energy from some people, rather than getting the help you actually need. And then somehow you can have all this going on, but if you kiss somebody, then it's one step too far. Girl, bye. Again, people can be very self-delusional, and some people are just hoes through and through. They'll kiss and do every damn thing, and they don't give a damn about none of it. Don't none of it mean nothing at all. And so I guess on one hand, the fact that they tried to say some portion of it might be reserved for intimacy is good. It's all just fucked. This shit, fuck it all. Hell. But just fuck it all. Why bother doing anything if you're not either gonna put all of yourself into it or put all of yourself into it for the right reasons? Where have you learned this approach to sex from? Where did the fuck did it come from? Real men with positive masculinity embrace their spirituality in a big way. They don't run from it. They can teach and lead their household as well as their community. They don't mind showing weakness because they understand that it's a strength. There's an old proverb that says something like, "Only when you learn to bend and be flexible can you become truly strong and unbreakable." Something like that. Real men don't use their strong bodies in seductive ways. You know, they not gonna try to entice people and things like that. Like hustlers that I used to hang out with would do this shit all the time. They knew that they had strong bodies, tattoos, and were very sexy and shit. And they would use that to seduce people and manipulate them to get them to borrow their cars and shit like that. A real man is gonna use his strength and his physique to help people, pick up shit for people, carry shit for people, use it to build people up in various ways rather than to destroy them. A real man is gonna be secure in every way that a little boy just ain't. A rigid thing, another way I could say that, a rigid thing is very easy to break. Like, if you have anything that's rigid, you can fucking shatter that fucking shit. But something that's flexible and has fluidity to it and give to it already it's harder for you to break. You see what I'm saying? And I think of a chaotically masculine male is basically like a fallen and degraded person, form of what a man is supposed to be. Think of Smeagol. I reference him from time to time. Gollum from the Lord of the Rings, that snively little person. He didn't start off that way. He was a regular fucking hobbit until he got carried away with his lust over that damn ring. And that's all the fuck that he was concerned about day and night. And that thing stole his life force out of him over time. And it killed him in the end. But hey, he had his ring, right? And so you're like Smeagol, just what, 2 tooths and 3 strands of hair, running around talking shit about other people, thinking that he was all that bitch. Girl, bye. Chaos masculinity has people greatly deceived and according more value to themselves than they ought to. True masculinity, like I stated before when I was talking about my king who is yet to come, is steady, it's stable, it's strength upon which I can lean. Okay. If a dude is all over the place in his mind or in his body, I can't, if I try to lean on him, I'll topple over and fucking fall, because he's unstable. I can't lean on that. He's neither here nor there. He's neither in nor out because his energy is spread out all over town, you know, in various beds, or he has various energies in his bed, or his intentions with his lovers ain't right, which still creates an unstable foundation for him. Even if he only has 1 or 2 people that he's in a relationship with, if his intentions ain't right, then he has muddied his waters and he is standing on unstable ground. Okay. You said it again, y'all. Either being an indiscriminate whore is mixing you up with bad energies and fucking you over, or trying to have you 1 or 2 significant others, but you don't really love them. Same shit. Regurgitated bullshit you're trying to chew on a different way. Any of it is not honorable before God. And but yeah, an unstable man can't hold up no queen. Bitch, we need somebody we can lean on in times of trouble, not somebody who's unstable. That won't do. This will not do. Now, let me take a moment here and talk to my king to come. I've stated before, that I'm open to having a polyamorous relationship because I have so much love to give. But I mean, if my king gets to me first and he's talking the language I want to hear, and I verify him, and some months pass, and what he's talking is still consistent and making sense. Okay, and he's like, "Baby, I just want you. I don't want you to fuck with nobody else." Okay, a girl can be convinced, I have my standards and I'm not gonna, but I'm flexible. A bitch is negotiable. I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's very old school. You don't see that a lot, but every now and then I'll come across, there's this straight dude that I was talking to a while back who was saying he's not into openness. He doesn't want to have any orgies. He's not trying to double penetrate nobody. He doesn't have a fantasy of having 2 girls at one time. He does none of that. He just wants 1 girl. That's it. He is clear on that shit. And I thought, wow, how chivalrous. You don't see that anymore. It's refreshing. It's refreshing. And because he's like, he don't want to imagine nobody's dick in his girl's pussy but his and his alone. Period. Done. I was like, that's the boss right there. That shit made my pussy wet. Just to hear him say that, he wasn't even talking about me. So I mean, shit, a girl can be convinced. And so, but my king, let me tell you my qualifications. I'm highly spiritual. I work to keep the energy clear around me, and therefore I can keep the energy clear around you. I'm all about positive energy. I believe in karma. Therefore, I mind the things I say, the things I think, the things I do, and who I go around. I know how to pray. I know how to get a prayer through. I can pray you out of trouble should you get into it and stand by your side, baby. Yes, I can build you up internally, spiritually, emotionally, and all of those things, darling. Indeed. I have a strong mind. I know who the fuck I am, and I am not confused about that shit. I know my purpose and I'm living it. Besides all that, I can grow food. If some shit pops off and people can't go to the store, we can go out back and pick the shit out the yard. It's really just that damn simple. And then I can come in there and cook the shit up too. Yes, of course I gotta feed you. Of course, of course. And and I understand that when it comes to copulation, for those who don't know what that word means, it's a more sophisticated way of saying sexual intercourse. And I understand that it's not all about, taking, me as a bottom taking dick. It's not about that because sex is more than just the physical interaction, as I've stated. I understand that you are an orb of masculine energy manifested into the strong body which you have. Okay. I I understand how to use the beloved physical exchange that is sex to enhance, and every fucking woman, every fucking real queen out there, queens listen to this shit too. I'm not just talking to my future king, but this is how a queen fucking approaches her fucking man. Okay. I'm gonna fucking strengthen. Yeah, I can use that beautiful exchange between us to strengthen our bond and to strengthen that bright light of masculinity that you are, to make your aura grow brighter than it has before. Okay, I know how to access. But I know how to access that little boy that still lives inside of you, just like you being the king, that you know how to access that girl that still lives inside of me. There's nothing like seeing a grown man kind of get shy when he's trying to build up his nerves to talk to a motherfucker like me. Okay. That shit, I like it. I'll just say I like it. I'm not gonna say anything else. But when a big strong man trying to say something to me and he gets all shy and shit, he kinda gives me that boy in grade school, and he's kinda, like, fidgeting and twisting his feet around, trying to figure out how he's gonna say it, working up his nerves. A lady, you know what I'm talking about. It is oh, and, and but, we can bring that out of each other because 'cause we're always as young as we choose to be. Age is nothing but a number, and time, baby, is an illusion. But you, my king, you already understand all this. Childhood is important to stay in touch with. As serious as I get on these shows and as serious as I am about my fucking business and my life's purpose, bitch, I'll go pick up, wait, bitch, my motherfucking Xbox controller. Okay, I will pick up my fucking Xbox controller and go hop on that motherfucker in a New York Minute with a fucking Pokemon hat on and fucking play the fuck out of that shit. Of course, for you, my king, I might put my fucking Pokemon hat on and do a couple of other things just for you. We'll talk about that later. And I understand the true value of your precious seed. Yes. And real men should get this shit too. Your sperm is not something that's should just be used willy nilly all over town. You gotta be careful with that. That shit is very unique to you. So, so I understand. Let me get back on track here. So I understand the value, you know, of that seed, that you're the only person who's ever walked this earth who has that. Besides your DNA, it's powerful. I understand from a magical perspective and from other perspectives on a vibrational level exactly what sperm really is. Okay. Gonna treat that seed with the dignity and the respect that it deserves. I'm a licensed massage therapist. I take care of all your muscles and every motherfucking thing. I'm a gifted healer. Okay, like I've already said, I can twirl into the room and just do a few circles, and your mood will raise. Period. 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 Okay. This is just the beginning of my qualifications. Okay. This is how I'm going to make my king's life better. And I know he's listening to this somewhere. It's time for us to begin some talks and conversations, because my healing is just about complete. And so every man worth his salt can understand the power of feminine energy. Dudes, of course, can do fine on their own, but there is something special about the way feminine energy complements masculine energy. Whatever the body it presents in doesn't matter. It's very special. It's very, very special that way. And if you do it right, it's kind of like when Voltron or fucking Power Rangers come together. Like, they were kicking ass independently, but when they really sync up, and I know it's like five of them, bitch, but you get the point. When they really sync up, you have a force you can't stop. Now, Those are my qualifications. So for my kings out there, for my king out there, of course, I'm gonna need him. Okay. Be emotionally, mentally available, spiritually serious, no phone junkies. I'm not gonna have no dude hanging on to his phone. I'm not dealing with that ever again. No dating apps at all. I don't give a damn if it's Tinder, Bumble. If you're on a dating app, I'm not talking to you. Period. Any of them. If you wear Hanes, Under Armour, Fruit of the fucking Loom, mm-mm. Calvin Klein too. It's just too expected. Yawn. Every fucking masculine dude knows those 4 brands. Don't come around me. I deserve to have something beautiful waiting for me when I take your pants off of you, just like all of this pretty shit that I got going on too. No. I own a clothing store. It's called Down Under Apparel. Feel free to go over there and buy some pretty shit to wrap around your fucking nuts so that I don't have to deal with no gray, ugly ass underwear when you take the motherfucking shit off. Gray is a beautiful color on men, but not Hanes, not Under Armour, not Fruit of the Loom. No tea and no shade. Wear that shit to the gym or some fucking wear, but do not wear it around me. And because I like things to be beautiful. There was a time where I would have dressed the man, and everything, and I did that in the last relationship. I'm not doing that again. However you come to me is how you are. Period. 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 This is just the way it's gonna go. My feminine energy is overflowing, and I'm not gonna back down from these standards. My feminine energy is really fucking strong. I almost thought about getting a sex change. Yes, I thought about becoming trans at some point, and I didn't go through with it. But that I'm not going to, at this point. But I just don't feel like it. I just learned how to balance my energies out. I love trans. I'm all for it. Do what you need to do. But for me, it didn't go quite that far, but I certainly considered it for a while. I don't want a man with holes in his socks and in his drawers. I dealt with that with the last relationship. Again, no matter what, I always forgave and tried to work through it. What I have learned that if somebody sees a problem in their clothes, like holes and faded colors and won't change it, probably when they see problems in their life, they're not going to change that shit either. Because that shows you how much they devalue themselves to just let their clothes get run down like that and not try to change it. That's somebody who don't love themselves. She don't love herself if they just let they shit get holes. And I'm not talking about like if you have like a nice dark colored shirt that if it's a little tear, nobody's gonna notice it unless they're paying a whole lot of fucking attention to you that then probably they shouldn't be in the first bitch ass place. That's different. I'm talking about gaping assholes rolling back with lint all around it. You can see the skin popping out through it and the drawers and the socks. I dealt with that. I fucking dealt with that shit in the last relationship. Mm-mm. Not doing that again. Fix your clothes. Find out what a belt is. Pull your damn pants up. This is what I'm looking for. Okay? And it's a shame, but dudes, this is a lot of males are running out there perpetrating on this bullshit. We can't upgrade or change these males. I'm gonna say it again. However you meet them, that is how they are. Mm, yes. And then just because somebody's well dressed doesn't mean that they're a good person too. Because you have some overt narcissists who do all of that and they're terrible. But this is just one of my fucking standards that just I'm into the fashion industry and I just do not like this despicable looking fucking clothes. It's not going to work. Because at the end of the day, I want people to be themselves. I want people to be where they're at and on their journey. But if that means that we're incompatible, then that means that's not meant for me to be with you. And it's time, well, for you to get the fuck out of my way so I can move on and get on to my true king. And look, women out there, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm talking about real women, strong fucking queens, true and elevated, mature women, not little hoes or little hood rats and shit, ratchet ass bitches. No, real fucking boss ass queens. We are all highly turned on by a motivated man. Like John Wick, bitch, a man of focus, motivation. He had one fucking woman he was dedicated to and a highly productive, well revered, feared, and respected motherfucker. Didn't need everything. He just needed her. He didn't need everyone. He was focused. So rare. That's what the fuck I'm looking for. The girls, you get it. That motivation's a fucking turn on. And you know, I hope my future husband is just so motivated and just like just be like trying to like build up the community and shit. Just a real unique and individual person. You know, I believe he will be as strong as I saw him in my dreams. I really, 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 really believe that. And yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone and come up off of that. But so lastly, I'm gonna talk about parents. You know, I gotta throw parents in here somewhere because a lot of these problems that we have now start with people at home. It just does. It just does. I'm not saying parents didn't do the best job they knew how to do, but during this time, they need to get their fucking lashings and karma and all of that too, because it is what it is. Parents who teach their kids about sex versus those who don't. I didn't get taught not a damn thing. My dad gave me a condom one day and was like, "Well, use it, deuces." That's all. And that is what I went out into the world with, and then learned everything from gay.com, international male magazines back in the day, you know, and bullshit like that. But in other words, I learned terrible fucking sexual habits, but what I was exposed to was what I thought was reality and what I should be doing. And then I went out and had sexual experiences based on the negative shit I saw from television and from the internet. And since it felt good to my body, that reinforced in my mind that I should keep doing these things, even though the shit was killing my heart and soul on the inside because it wasn't intimate, it wasn't connected. I had childhood issues that I hadn't resolved, but the sex felt good, so I kept doing it. I have no doubt I was addicted to sex in my when I was in the military, but at some point, I just fucking I think getting HIV is what really snapped me out of it. That was a hard enough blow for me to, like, slow the fuck down with all the sleeping around and shit, but it don't do that for everybody. Some people get HIV and they're like, "Oh, well, fuck it, I've got it now. Let's really get to hoeing." And so everybody's got a different rock bottom. For me, knowing my body had been invaded by something was enough that I was like, okay, it's time for me to stop. Evangelist Nelson had warned me for years about the shit, but when you have a hard head and you don't listen, shit catches up to you. Again, the shit that all of this karma and all this hard headed shit and getting shit danger follow coming upon you, shit applies to me too. Every damn body. It's the same for all of us. And so, but would it have been different had my parents and told me about sex, kept the door open for me to come back to them and talk about sex, you know, in perpetuity without feeling like it was going to be judged for it? Who knows? I can't talk about what might have happened. I know what the fuck didn't happen was them telling me that it would be okay and explaining to me what the fuck was what. This is why we're gonna do this sex blog for y'all. A lot of parents fear talking about sex with their children. Don't know what the fuck you became a parent for if you didn't want to have that conversation. They weren't gonna be cute little 2-year-olds forever. Dick is gonna start to get hard, pussy's gonna start to get wet, and start to bleed and every damn thing. Somebody's got to tell these children something for fuck all sakes. You know, in a deep way and explain sex causally and spiritually, but a lot of parents don't even understand that aspect of it. But parents, y'all got to get ahead of technology. I mean, the world is moving fast. You probably need to start teaching kids about sex, what, at 5? People be age 5, people know too damn people be knowing shit quicker than what you think. And I can tell you like this, if your kids started having sex and they didn't tell you when they stopped being a virgin, you fucked up in that area. I'm just telling you. Not as a statement of judgment, you just did. Your kid should have come to you with that very special experience. I don't believe in this concept of losing virginity because it makes it seem like a bad thing happened. I feel like when we begin to have sex, we take a very necessary step of growing up, becoming an adult, and entering the ranks of adulthood and humanity. You're joining humanity in a new way. I think it's an evolution. I think it's a beautiful metamorphosis. I think it can be used spiritually as a type of ascension. I don't view it as a loss. Beginning to have sex is a type of ascension to me. But but if your kid just went out there and found whoever because they got tired of being a virgin, which is what I did, which is what other people did, a lot of sex addicts probably started off that way. It started off not being anything special. It started off just being a means to an end with whomever, just for the experience. And then I went on to just having a bunch of experiences. You get in what you put out. It shit's hard to break, but it can be broken. But if you want it to be, thank God for his power. Anything is subject to change. Okay. But parents, if you have a problem talking about sex with your kids, you use YouTube videos for it then. Use books. Use this podcast. Use other podcasts. You don't have to say it. If for some reason something's fucked up with you within you, you haven't gotten resolved yet, which you should. But if you haven't, then use what you have at your disposal. Do what you can rather than nothing at all. And sit down with YouTube or with a movie or something and use it as an icebreaker or type the shit out and then write it. You gotta do something. You can't just have kids and just send them out into the world with no sexual foundation. This is what's gonna happen is they're gonna learn about it from sex app or from ask some sex apps, from porn, and from strangers who don't have their best interest in mind, yet who will lay in bed with them. And if this happens, don't sit around if they get in trouble somehow, don't sit around beating yourself up over it because nobody is interested in your pity party. Okay. Get over the shit and get up and help your child because they need you. And okay. Just because you didn't do it then, it don't matter if your child's fucking 30 years old or whatever, you still their parent. Go to them and help them, and you didn't start the conversation now. Nobody said if it didn't start in their teenage years, you could never start it. As long as you are breathing, you can start all over again. Bitch, do it now. And and just because you had taught them didn't mean they wouldn't have completely disobeyed you and went out there and turned into total sluts anyway. But at least you would have tried. Okay. So this is not necessarily a catch-all, but we gotta do the best we can. But hopefully, if they would have turned into a total slut, and then once they hopefully realized the folly of it, or at least they would have told you that. Hopefully there would have been dialogue and you could have maybe helped somehow. But by removing yourself from the conversation about sex and letting the world carry your children away, you could make it harder for you to. I mean, you remove your influence from the child, your ability to influence them. Because this thing about they're adults now, so they're just gonna leave the nest and toodaloo, and we're gonna go in me and the other parent are gonna go in teaking or whatever and go island hopping, and no. Once you become a parent, it's forever. Once you die and turn into a spirit, you're still gonna watch over that child as a spirit. It's forever. Until we get to heaven and there's no more world, and then all that'll be over then, but until then, you're a parent forever. It's not something you will ever stop being. So before you get into that responsibility, and I know there's people who get raped and there's different situations. Okay, I'm not speaking to that right now. Talk to people who know that they intentionally set up a family. Okay. And so, but wouldn't it be beautiful if your kids was like, I'm about to have sex this weekend. What do you think? I want to have sex. Prom's coming up. Or I've met this person and we want to experiment. Don't judge them. Like I said, if somebody's telling you they want to do something, it's for a reason. Yeah, we don't let our kids just run off and do whatever. But if it's about that time, there's no age that's right or not, but your child. But don't let your dark side reflect on them. If you had a bad experience with beginning sex, don't reflect that onto them. Be objective. Talk to them. Why do they want to start this now? How long have they known this person? Is it going to be intimate? Is it going to be spiritual? What do they believe? Where they, all of that. And then what you're doing is training your kid how to explore the conversation around sex rather than what we see now is app. naked pictures, bone. Okay. We see how far that's gotten us as a fucking society. And a small caveat before I close out the show. Women's, when y'all are pregnant, be careful with the things that you say and do when you're carrying the unborn. Everything that you're exposed to, every type of energy affects that child. You know, like when my mom was pregnant with me, my dad was running around hoeing it up as he does. And, you know, my mom spent energy trying to track him down and find this, what the fuck he was doing. That is a huge reason why I was born into this karmic cycle of attracting narcissists, because my dad is one and my mother was caught up with that insecurity and all of that energy when I was in her belly. Again, I'm not complaining. I'm thankful that all of this happened. If for no other fucking reason, I can come here and teach you with my transparent fucking ass. And I don't mind being transparent. People be telling me all the time, like, damn, D, you really put yourself out there. Wow, I can't believe you said that. I would never be able to say that. You're not embarrassed? Nope. Because by telling all of the shit that I done, it what's happened to me, what that grants me is freedom, power. What the fuck can somebody say? The same shit I already said and done? I have no shame because I've confessed what I've done and I've confessed that it's wrong. And now I can use it to help you. Secrecy, the illusion of secrecy is what gets people killed. Transparency is what saves people's lives. There is nothing that I won't tell you unless it's something spiritually it would not be wise to let come out of my mouth. But it was about some shit from my past, girl. Yeah, pretty much. And so, yeah, that's how I was brought into the world, in insecurity, in a spirit of distrust, in a spirit of infidelity, of a man who ain't shit, males who ain't shit, and and having, I mean, a woman in a vulnerable state like that having to deal with a cheating ass husband. I've known this to happen. It's double shame, triple shame be upon men. 7-time motherfucking shame be upon motherfuckers who got a pregnant wife at home while he out dicking around. With hoes in the street, bitch. The same thing goes for females who are pregnant and cheating. Okay, going laying up, getting pumped full of cum because you don't feel like you can get pregnant again, and you got a husband at home. Bitch, you ain't right. Bitch, you ain't right. Okay, that deceitful energy, that duplicitous energy is getting infused into that unborn child. Girl, you don't know what you're creating. Why don't y'all sing beautiful music, get from around janky ass people, and give that kid a fair chance? So that's 9 months. I don't want you to look at it like a prison. Just consider what you're getting into. But energy is fluid, and that energy and the way you feel, whether you feel safe, whether you feel nurtured, whether you feel like all your needs are being met, are important for that child to be born feeling safe and protected and well nurtured, and like all of their needs are being met. If you don't do that, you're going to bring a broken child into this world, you know, and then it's going to manifest in them as they grow up earlier. Your responsibility starts from the moment you realize you're preggers. Yes, put the wine and the drugs down too, but also remove the negative energy from your space and meditate and pray and nurture that child spiritually. And the dad, or the two moms, the two dads, or the three moms, or the two dads and the one mom, however the fuck y'all got this shit sorted out. Everybody has an energetic responsibility to be sure that that kid is born with as smooth of an energetic as well as smooth of a physical clean slate as possible. And then many of the problems that I have addressed in this episode and other episodes can perhaps be circumvented and avoided when we bring people into the world right. That is what I have for you. My name is Devanin. It's been wonderful being your host today. Again, the website is sexdrugsandjesus.com with a YouTube channel. And Down Under Apparel is my marvelous website, darling. I love you all. I speak Forgiveness unto all of you who will confess your faults, forsake your ways, and change, and do everything you can to make the wrongs you have done right. I speak mercy and grace unto you also. It takes a lot of balls to have the courage to confess your wrong. It takes balls, but balls get rewarded. Balls get rewarded. Cowardice gets defeated and destroyed. And y'all, let's live it up. Let's live life. Let's fucking have a good time. Be honest, tell the truth, and everybody just come up higher. Yeah, that's some utopian shit, but that's the world I live in. And just remember, everything is gonna be all right.